Now then, it's been just over 12 years since Amy Winehouse tragically passed away from alcohol poisoning. And on what would have been her 40th birthday, her ex-husband, Blake Fielder Civil, feels he can no longer shoulder all the blame for her death.
We're going to be speaking to Blake in just a moment. First, though, here's Emily Mallet with a reminder of their story.
Well, Blake joins us in the studio. Morning to you, Blake. Morning. It seems extraordinary that it's been that many years has passed since we lost Amy, and it's her 40th birthday, it would have been. I wonder how you feel on a day that is such a benchmark for everybody.
Yeah, it's obviously, first and foremost, it's sad, but I originally wanted to say happy birthday to Amy as well. But yeah, it's devastating she's not here. You know, I think about her a lot. I thought about it this morning when I woke up, said my little happy birthday to her. Obviously, I'll always miss her. You know, she was my best friend, and you know, we were married. Obviously, we had our issues. I think if it wouldn't have been for certain factors, you know, it would have been a completely different, a different relationship, a different outcome.
What are those factors?
Aside from the obvious ones, which everyone knew about, of the addiction, fame in itself at a young age is hard to deal with. And also, I think everything happened kind of quite quickly for Amy and I at the time. We were really young, you know, this is over nearly half my life ago. And factors that a lot of people have when they're young, mistakes, you know, not knowing how to conduct themselves, not knowing how to pace yourself, not knowing what your limits are. Normal things that people learn as they get older that we perhaps weren't afforded the same kind of allowances to make mistakes.
Do you feel people still hold you responsible for what happened to Amy?
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to speak today. Yeah, I do. And that's okay. You know, I can't change how other people feel about that. But for me personally, I needed to stop carrying that cross on my own. I've carried that burden myself for over 10 years. I feel, to be honest, that I'm the only person within that story that's ever kind of held any accountability, that's ever tried to say, yeah, I made some huge mistakes.
What do you feel the mistakes were?
Well, I mean, I was, as I said, I was a 20-something-year-old drug addict, so I had absolutely no idea how to make myself clean, let alone somebody else who was a big cog in the machine for a record label, and there were vested interests in Amy carrying on performing. And
she was very vulnerable as well, as we know. She was such a fragile soul, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. And I think that fragility, though, is what people connected with in the albums and the songwriting.
Like, do you think she would have done the drugs that she did if you hadn't been a drug addict first?
Well, I mean, I wasn't an addict before Amy was. I'd done drugs. There's a difference between somebody that takes drugs, obviously, socially. Again, this isn't me trying to demean my role. I did become a drug addict.
But you said that her relationship with heroin started when she saw you doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
She asked you if she could try it.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. Yeah, again, full accountability. I'd tried that particular drug a handful of times. I hadn't gone down any bad roads with it. I know that sounds a bizarre thing to say, but it hadn't taken us to the depths it did. It was still very much, although not glamorous, I'm not trying to pretend it was just a drug. We were just thinking we were, you know.
Yeah.
If you could go back, and hindsight's, and I bet you've gone over this in your head. Of
course, yeah.
What would you have done differently, Blake? Would it have been that moment?
Almost everything, yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, before me and Amy did that together, I had tried it a few times. So I recognise in myself now, and this is part of being kinder to myself, I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't going into that with an intention of this happening. I don't think people around Amy, anyone that loved Amy, her family, her friends, none of them would think that this is what I would have wanted. But equally, I'd think that they would have said, Amy wouldn't want me to have taken the burden for the past 10+ years.
You were a mess back then, weren't you?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Do you feel like you're trying to sort yourself out?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
You look better than the
you.
last time that we spoke to you a few years ago. I wonder whether there is some kind of relationship that you can re-establish with Amy's family, or whether they have any interest.
I'm not sure.
Or whether
about
that's
them.
too sensitive for them.
Yeah, I'm not sure about their interests per se, but for me personally, that's something I put over in my head a lot. But you are right. The more I've kind of come away from that and been able to put what I call clean time under my belt, and as the months turn into years, and you start kind of rebuilding yourself, there has been times when I've thought, would there be value in me speaking to her family and maybe making some sort of reconciliation of sorts?
Have you tried?
Because we all loved that person.
Have you tried?
I haven't, no, to be honest. No, I
Have
wouldn't
you been
know
told
where
not to?
I think I've kind of ascertained that from my own kind of...
There's a film coming out next year, the biopic. I mean, how do you feel? Because, of course, everybody still celebrates Amy and her extraordinary talent, but this will be your story as well. You'll be in there.
I think I'm not too sure about how I feel about me being a part of Amy's story. I always feel a bit like that I don't deserve that. Although, like I said, I'm here to say, in a sense, I'm not taking responsibility. I still pedestal Amy very much. She was an amazing talent. I was a partner. So I still feel a natural uncomfortability to think, why is that about me? Why am I there?
Will you watch it?
Maybe. Maybe not. I mean, there might be. I'll probably see what the people's reactions is first.
Blake, Phil de Civil, it's a difficult day, obviously, for Amy's family, and we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.